honorable Ken kasaya na efa indiscipline ekoso ewo party. Do you think say leaders no more that party na no omunye firm enough umbitimi ashaman discipline akoso ana?
I don't think so. I want to blame them per se.
Okay.
First of all, party members nankasa or responsibility themselves to also be disciplined towards the party. Obi to say chama abronye unhia secretary Justin Kodua na betcho say dey answer na say wenye. Na no asema chama untumi ne chama abronye kokai. They are adults. They are very responsible adults. They should have known better even in the first place. But maybe a party in this region I say be panic kun na dey ahabai. No many people have we no one about and then talk for before Friday abba. And see sometimes I understand the leadership they are in a very tight position now. What I say? Party may be a general. I say in terms of a Flagbearer shape, no, say it's a vacuum. It's more or less like a leadership crisis. And almost so yesterday be a Fabiano or Munko Hetio be whether Ken camp or DMB's camp or Brian camp or any other camp. I think say no na nipa members ne be so I take advantage no be emfatania
because kameba be kasa ebinum so be kasa mo ni omo a ebinum mo support honorable Ken so omo nsem bi so omo kegu other candidates bi so ma enye you know.
Oh me ade bi obi aya enye bia ade bi obi aya. You see, I mean the good thing is I'm the official spokesperson. I'm not in record say makasem bia me dey me can say team na dey aka or the campaign team aka. I mean to say nipa de se be mpanifo si de otwa so nim se na chia dey achia. Bibi o ho na nya na atwuma adwen so a ebo kwa so ho bra se kwa so be pa ho ye dey achia. But mostly the things I say are statements of facts. Unfortunately some of them may not be there obi ade or catch obi when anima be ne de. But me just say makasem be there bro so. But among the team aside me obi o no ka de nya. We condemn it outrightly. Ye metana hanga so your team Ken, you know. Adibi wa how kaseti Dr. Bawumia and any of his team members. We should praise you. Okay. Because see we in a bekabum.
Okay.
Asan na enyina yakoye.
Uji tumu say for instance ayampia to na muhungu atechemu anase bia mototo ateche ebro muhun especially me can you know mo chidi for no for instance eno betimi aye a tool for NDC to campaign against NPP ana. If it is my understanding in English as jabs, and yeah, I mean positive jabs is good. And what of negative?
If it is jabs, it is a be busy. You man a second chance because a mark for second chance, and somebody is jabbing you. Say those or a more second chance to perform. If you didn't perform, you are a weak candidate. I don't think say
no. So now, for instance, okay, my mema this. But
your negative ones.
My mema this scenario maybe over say 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 the can you know way marketable. This can be visible, but it can be marketable.
It's a good job.
Okay, for instance, now beer me example when you're marketable after elections na enya now or face the whole you know about 35 and over million you know people no then opponent can say na so monocombo jitu say we say when you're marketable timamo ntoma nipa when you're marketable there and you remember ntoma no say no so bit me
I'm against negative jazz but we see abna akunya to nipa na epre apre there ba kutia nipa tietia omo na so kakra the main penese obetia ehobeye kuro no chene bi scan be there ebeda ho but akunya be na epre se bi asem ya dey ni ho but ye wi na yi hina and the engineer so akunya ba ko those things there to a certain extent na me hu say any kwa say the extra and if jobs are I mean just based on fact just based on data there and me hu for so be there ho but when the jobs cross into insults
if it's based
on miracles for Kennedy Agyapong loose cannon no say and this is not a job this is a pure personal attack and you wouldn't want to promote it but make us say Dr. Bawumia a weak candidate I mean how is it an insult?
No one said that a weak candidate and so no more opponents will keep hammering on that because I will share last year elections because I'm in the media yet that time opposition party was using a lot of utterances within the party who you see and against more candidates.
We know media and go for na come what be. Assembly. Or more say
What's that go for na ka mama? Na me ejuma me ye nye omo be ka committee me mouthpiece ma Ghana for mo share.
Mama Nkasa be. I must say, let me even make it more clear for you so that I can respond. I must say, oh, last election, Kennedy Agyapong no masem and NDC for here there, boy. And I may lose election. Uti. Dollar they move 4 to 17 and Kennedy Agyapong no masem. Napku for an injury omoka. Be 2 years Kennedy Agyapong no masem. DDEP kofo chief justice mo edu omo nsa gu omo ti ebi su ye ne ade Kennedy Agyapong no masem. Party for na ka so mo padwuma ye mo adwuma na Kennedy Agyapong no masem. MPs are no mo kwa na imposition MPs as presidency we candidate na Kennedy Agyapong no masem. We are not saying Kennedy Agyapong. Kennedy Agyapong no masem o kan ya say no catch a party for say mo nyere mo hwe party for no. Kennedy Agyapong and na penny bi to me for MPB. I don't have his permission to put his name out there. Michiano, I don't know. No, let me say you are doing well, but first of all, think yourself first. Think of yourself first. Let me say, wow. No, say, boss now within it, 99% of the normal movies against him. Normal no use in defense of the party. Normal no in defense of the party, but then they use against him. And so Kennedy. The fact is, election. Let's go to the Quay report. Where does Kennedy Agyapong lose election?
No, Quay report no.
I've not seen it myself. They said people don't have copy. Dr. Bawumia who said matter says sometimes he references it, but even though they say no human being has a copy. But the point is,
human being that don't so Obia you so any pan
when I say no human being has a copy, officially they've not presented the copy to anybody, so you are not supposed to. You are not expected to reference it.
So that's all me. Yeah, more copy then we need
report.
Make reference to Quay report.
I don't make reference to it because I've not seen it. I don't make references because I've not seen. They say it's a secret document. But the point is, say, I don't think such a report will cover say Kennedy Agyapong must have made the illusory election. On one side, must say, any Dr. Bawumia are buying another one day. On the other side, any buying woman another one. No. You see, the factors are no man have buying, no man have buying. If your dollar, if for instance you present economic messiah. Also arrested dollar and the keys are my GP, right? And which was true then, but COVID happens. Normally, it wasn't him.
COVID any impact and I say
it had an impact. It had an impact. No, it's not because we have an internal election our city and pretend but I'm saying say even though we have an impact, rationally Ghanaians be say NDP mo candidate no advice no. He was in the helms of affairs, or he was part of those in the helms of affairs. So they are likely to punish him. What I say. So you cannot tell me, say, all these economic misfortunes, maybe. I mean, behind there, sometimes there are excesses, a bit of mismanagement, also a bit of, say, I'm a party for you. You cannot say, all this one, DDEP, Ghanaians is no. Ghanaians move beyond all this thing. No, I could see Kennedy Agyapong no masem. Nenu masem mayate. And then must have some budget to me.
Na yeah, so we today we now would can kasa so we ejuma kaka na we PR education sector no meboa. Na day now wo boss age na say o person to franka no nipa wo na ye ejuma because only be ejuma de na wo nipa no say they will sit here na so one support and I support a different candidate.
Question, my answer. But I'm going to answer it from these two places. So before now, you also work somewhere and you moved on. I mean, it happens in life. Okay. And the second aspect is, say, my boss on Angasa, who I so much respect, also know Dr. Bawumia. Is he also contesting Dr. Bawumia this time around?
No, Dr. Bawumia.
Yes. He not vice him. He even lobbied up to the point of Oka. Okay. Those who are tipped to be vice. But since he's unsupportive about Dr. Bawumia, also contested Dr. Bawumia. So also that means, hey, before say because say maybe Dr. Bawumia no, I can be also in nature and when nature this lawyer na. I think he's a great person. No two ways about that. He can equally be the presidential candidate and the Flagbearer for us. But my interest was more in what Ghanaians are seeking for, who Ghanaians are seeking for. When the majority of Ghanaians almost they can buy a better. So it will rather be more selfish and disloyal to even the entire party and the entire Ghanaians if I decide not to support Ken. Why? Because they came by party for the birthday, Ghana for the birthday, So we felt that it was proper for us to bring Ken. And I'm going to it has nothing to do with, when Dr. Duchumi, you mean, I was all. One can never be an hour, so new. And just how you're this lawyer person. Oh, we'll move on. Say, first, we'll free different television stations. I want another show. And then, it's just how you're this lawyer person.
Who the was some maybe some bizarre question. And then here, one son. And when I say we man, family media, no.
No, but I'm saying that we are also drawing an analogy.
Okay.
That there are a lot of factors why people move on. Moving on doesn't mean that you don't believe in the vision of that person. It only means that even if the vision is the same vision, there are certain platforms that vision, you know.
And mean yield the results.
No, I would rather look at certain platforms that vision be more results than maybe other platforms. What I say.
Nti honorable Ken Hono.
Me show post asia.
Honorable Ken Hono no be yield the results.
Me show post asia. Me say, hey, journalist be ni, we have a fair be. As one can now ho. But platform you buy, you be end of who say, hey,
lawyer. Me say, let's say, honorable Ken Hono me yield the more results
for the party. For the party, not for the
party. E chain say, Dr. Duchum.
No, Honorable Ken is in a place to win 2028 elections than any of the candidates contesting. Okay. So if it is about 2028, remember I said my premise, and the premise is that ordinarily 2028 is not for the MPP.
Okay.
What I say? After 4 years, you say wait my coach was it
2028 is not for MPP?
Ordinarily, you wouldn't expect say, from the history of the 8-year cycle.
Okay.
Can I say yeah? And you to say you raw or more kawaii after mabeti. It's a constitutional coup near It's a constitutional coup.
Okay.
2028 is a constitutional coup. A coup that is legitimate in the constitution.
Ordinarily, in
the case, but it's a constitutional coup. What I say, and you could change on one side the Aje, and you could change him say so the warrior, kukudufu, obi edene kwako. And I'm gonna say, Bedi akuni fatana. Fatana kono nyam kwankwa nyase e fe ma azia boaje
ken e warrior no
don ne bedi akono.
Okay, so obi
so the kwa ya akompreko
obi show obi bisa wo say a dear party because sometimes so obi kwakwa kodi obi echa sai say enyema okike nyina no there's a particular trait beer what ma e wodi pa no waka say say ni pay there or a very good leader. In TSC, a project. What are some of the traits that we want?
I notice all the Ghana. Patriotism. I notice all the Ghana. Or Ghana, he's so passionate. And the bishop so Kenneth temperamental. Many was one in the medium commerce annually. But Ghana, some be sell Ghana. Said we see come so yaw deal with him or the Ghana. Ghana, some must have penny in Juma. Ghana. Hey, Ghana. Oh, God. Yes, I played the Ghana. This will never happen.
And I'm not okay.
Oh, say, I mean, his past records are there. Okay. And you can see he has been consistent with anything about him. Viditama, you see he's been very consistent with everything that, until I'm not sure saying I'm not okay. Or the Ghana, the patriotism. And he's also honest and disciplined.
Into a patriotic or a
honest and discipline. Yeah.
And discipline.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. And these are the trademarks that I believe say beyond. Some can say we are not selling a spotless candidate. And then the pie fans say now soon you're the in. You can't say Ken was fufua if he be the in him. There is an eka. But what they no compare will be a say fufu no and they say will be a the fee back home you know ebubuma. Who's a Ken there no and show saa na tade ehye no said ne eba agbema no so a one obetima de tumi ama ye na two obetimi asesa Ghana pa ama no
ono ni fi na ewo mu no show
say nipa bia no spotless which of the candidates can you say oye
but so was obi on met visible to say the wo kind sports na ewo mu no visible na me no me person me te de wo che na say
you see those things you see about Kenya I will say ebia enya no look at somebody being na no me ba ko say Kennedy government contracts. Now, say, what if I understand project government contracts? Obi about politics since 92 BC. So, I government contract, ne unya one problem say or procurement issue. and acquire corrupt, and acquire such a person is what we need.
Ebi mo so ka say government contract na wo je no. Aboana manenye sika na odi sika na so etwa
Mamenka some I'm one person I believe in local content aspiration.
Okay.
Seme na me president na enye dwuma me hu ni say broni beti ma yebia. I don't believe in. Now no Ibrahim Muhammad dey almost akwaje say one of the minds were say voter. I've forgotten the fact. But this is my philosophy. My philosophy is give businesses to local businessmen. Build more local businessmen. End of story. So despite a bit my yafmano. Dr. Forisa upon a bit my yafmano. Kennedy Agyapong a bit my yafmano. You know what Ghanaians are? They are more comfortable in an expert doing those contracts.
No, most says, "Oh, the Bema a Ghana in India." So we are not the sickness or person the fortnight.
Can be the biggest coal store in Africa. No, we are politics. What are people talking about?
Okay.
We are be the biggest coal store in Africa. No, Mayor MP. What are people talking about?
There's almost said the name.
And America, just one example. Anything I mean, person call messages of Subi. No, be the biggest coast. Go boss.
Okay.
Go into a boss. Be the biggest coast in West Africa, in Africa. No, or no, we are politics. What I say. So that's why they interrogating Nipano and life so the ekakra. And none of the politician about you say, Obia the government contract the ye say at the board party for you. I am saying he was a self-made person before entering politics.
Before entering politics. Now, said the way I can say, or your patriotic, or your honest, or your discipline. Ne flaws no a dear na wusu say, or sasa if you were betting me a boa magana for in you no as a tool against him.
Well, I would say he's passionate about seeing results. And unfortunately, with such level of passion, Nkofo construe that to be say or a temperamental.
Okay, so we are botre.
Because Ken, when you now somebody so you see her, no bother how he will react no. Well, he have a why react there. But on says say so na SM this one. Or no at all. He's a perfectionist.
Okay.
What I say? I wouldn't call it weakness or shortcomings. I would say it's also his strength. But how it comes out, and then go for so near Ken or a temperamental Ken de ebia unyabotre. No, it has nothing to do with unyabotre. It has more to do say he believes in getting results. He's so passionate about getting results.
After 31st January 2026, after the elections, percentage be and now usually say on about Ken Obenya.
I'm looking at 62-64.
62-64.
Yes, say if it is a one touch election, then I'm looking at 62-64.
Hey, ebi omo.
Oh,
number 5. And then call.
Oh, na say 5 and they say binyabi.
Ebi ede.
Ebi nyabi.
Inti he for na nyabi.
I'll make a mom binyabi.
Me say he for na nyabi.
Me no mom binyabi no.
Inti. And okay, he for na binyabi no.
Second benya 62-64. That I was benya akra. Dr. Brian, ono minya no nti me bra pending nti me ka man ka bi mananya fe go making rules
the enyese nka wo ka bi enya fe dia nka nka bi ma
ono so benya bi
nti ono no baba beda ono bo kenechi ana
kasana nka me pe no we unma de kwenta kasana me pe no me betika Brian this second just say I strongly believe say we need a fresh face.
Okay. Any money medical.
Oh, there, what to be that? Because one on this about kumbecha about one on this about kumbecha about vehicle.
Okay.
Obiano on this about kumbecha. Who's a Ken also has a general and national appeal. Okay. So be any no. What I say? I think
compared to the other 4 candidates, compared to Dr. Bawumia.
Dr. Bawumia is visible.
Okay.
Ken is both visible and marketable.
And then maybe as Dr. Bawumia, the only marketable also one
marketability acceptance. A GD and for any product in
GD.
I buy a 2 years. I don't much.
Okay.
2024 no the sana much.
Send there any general elections, but within the party, party is so new GD ana.
And the 2026 no much. So banchanya ejana better and just okay.
They don't ban a baby. Say good because muhi fresh face. Okay, nti no na nti Dr. Brian be di echi.
O di second e boy.
Na when the third.
Dr. Bawumia. Send the way senior the way they are going to be giving.
Nti he for na nya bi no. Omo be nya bi no.
I say Dr. Me am boss so esa me na ni yo.
And engineer.
Oh, said unya 10 words so na engineers be na aka.
What's e bi nya bi so bi nya bi and me be say he for na nya bi.
E bi na kwa de mbo mo say o senior penny dey ntimi nka say on man sfie kra e is anya fe.
Na why wo kama manfo yi wo vote ye ba akopɛ. Enti e de na wo say we de be ko ha say we so de be ko ha.
Oh, say ne form for ne kasa.
Okay.
Enti wo ne form for ne kasa.
Enti wo mo nso so mo beto ama Dr. Bawumia, Dr. Brian, engineer, and Dr. Educhum, Munyina, so Kasana.
We have about 200,000 delegates and over. We are looking at level. It's only the new ones we have a count. 208, 210,000.
Okay.
200,000 and over. You know, Mokasa,
okay. Who say already existing businesses are honorable can I create enough? Mamma Mobit me a jinaso. I must say. Nyameye madom na mutimi tu franka na Ghana for enso beto sa enema na mobegina so aye campaign na
say the whole point is say he has a track record and to work why be pay what I say man nyadin
okay
penifo mo ye nso yi me sure say so chana omoka to so betima ye bottle kese a likely for people to believe them. Okay. Then obi onye nsu ho kwaye de ehwe because o hu nim de wasua de de ewom na ken no ade a wo ye pa onim yo enyuma bi
okay
e de bo nipa and this is any pa de ba no ka to say the World Bank say about 1.2 billion job seekers by 10 years time emube 800 million of those jobs will not exist oba e bibre mu hakura de Ghana on ka to say unemployment rate of 14%, but Ghana Statistical Service na ka to say one more 80% less than 3,000 cities. Now 3,000 better hand etria light bill, etria water bill, etria so bills. You 20% so Ghana Statistical Service said they are living in abject poverty. To hear that data it's not really about just creating jobs. You also need somebody about into your mind no create more entrepreneurs and job creators. For instance, you Zoom line, your papa despite your papa for example. You have those of them alike. Why don't you? So, 100 and will be our 100 workers and 1,000 workers. Will be 100 will be our 1,000 workers. That is a million workers. So, why don't you then create about 1,000 of them and increase their capacity to then employ more?
Okay. There may be sense of a non quite enough and based on only day no enough. Say enough doesn't mean say. I bind that I try mu want to be capitalized on no so na niam wo ye
oh say boy here boy say we ball here ball we reserve player even though ka team no but how do you come to the park to score goals we no be ojana nai coach aka tell me say emfa ball no obi anya emfa man nse nyepe minim so he ball me Real Madrid ni ye ni coach e ba Xabi Alonso o say Mbappe on na ball ni musa keep anya ba on fama no Vinicius Junior nya ball on fama no obi anya ball nya de on fama no mo on de nadwuma ya na say onya ball na okole ni ba ko on try emfa ponim obo serve e de emu mienu na amiensa e de ehye compared to player on tier so now no abalian free you call yes by you cannot compare the two and the who park na so your input is different. The last government so can serve government in what capacity? If it becomes a board chair temporarily for some 2-3 years, how then do you compare yourself to say the vice president or the president? So and it's who
wouldn't him so vice president and so rule non shedda and yet giddy it's a president.
Is the vice president now a mere person?
I'm not saying so.
He's the second gentleman in the country.
Second gentleman, but the role I will play no per the constitution or enters a president. I totally
agree with you 100%. Is that also not the more reason why Ken should be the president, so that he'll be able to implement all his ideas? Because at the end of the day, in human you could have also done it well as a obi kwa wa any mainstream appointment or the past government no njobe president obetime aye ne kese so
enti ususu say aban na etwa mu no say Honorable Ken a play active roles and as be even in the role play and yet so active no yenti me fa so money be more say no can aban ho ana.
Oh no, it will be unfair to do that. Ultimately we all take responsibility. Say aban na etwa mu so bia ye ya ko baje en munyam ne bi. So you see a chain munyam ne ama wan ngwase so ba onfa ho. Ye chain munyam ne ama obi an ngwase so ba oka ho. Anya hwe kura so onya adwuma ba ko mienu ye waban no o ye bo che o Ghana gas enti en munyam hye so ye de e bai Ghana gas anya hwe kura the party for mienu miensa en nan num bi ye de ekọ en munyam hye ye de ewom sebi o na ban wo power no en na ban ni power no na ho ode e wa ban mu enye pe meboa wa ban wo power ho ode ye de e wo so enti ye chen munyam ne ma obi de ngwase ba ye de oka ho so ultimately Bibi chichima okahu bi o take responsibility. We die ko thank you to na. The first asem okan na say ugina party na nemu e de acho pa ye de am party for nyina. Bibi e chichima bibi anko ye bia no. Okahu bi e take his responsibility no.
But on chichima mu de so mo na say opese obi mo so aso mo na kese.
No, me chichima mu no de make nyina say in terms of your electoral performance there.
Okay.
Ghana for anto amadota Bawumia because on mo any sajidie no e woni mu as the next president.
Okay.
They who say they can ba ebeboa in terms of the votes and the data available.
Okay, Mr. Bakasa na woman ye betimi I entrusted with yen ensembia ensase ye de to abonten for instance bano yen bambo ho nsama security ni adia nsem bebre ho ma wontumi mfa meto abonten se hu se den kwabo na wo opinion nti se wutimi swallow na bibini a we say jaso no aba obese obe blast eye binom so wo ya de we enye se do be say you bet me trust na with yen samsa or mine on samsa.
Oh, so why member of parliament da and what's different committees so be brave. Some of them defense committee, some of them interior committee, other committees for security who be brave. Many sure say you attribute any leak of any document be out to him. And in any event, na said you can know who a boxer.
Okay.
Boxer or ring ma, the opponent no or bonnet pa or bonnet de ba. As when you pay free ring in ma, no share bonten so far. They are the very nicest person you could ever see. With the Zuma Nelson. Ushiana, workers, hey, Papina, Uja ring ma, na need an India bobo ni power of you. Ushia Mike Tyson. A very one said Mike Tyson cry, said you are Colacquad and Sakana. So, as we ring ma, that is how the Ken character is. When it comes to things related to his worker, or Yana said he also see a day, Adiana no waka or canasa, but it doesn't mean say, or abontia, tesa. He's a married person, he would have been be at our remarks about Bonseda. If it is the case, he say, or so you know, Assembia no, or the Assembia betuja no. The only man says, oh, my 23. Aside that, anyway. If it is a character, only me and Katana, and I was sorry, no, I said, dear, any penny will be a painting him to be like her. And of course, or no, near some crabberry. I want to say, Nipper Binum no ma painting a son, I say, the nay and Simbia, what painting and Mabinum Hunessa. Istabna, or Maya Sebio, you would try him. We must also understand, say, your culture and also embrace it. Kind of nyatrum kakra. No my will be idea as a the corner them rafa so no he more hina to tuntuma. The corner at the emblem pavana near the national community so you say boy mu ade. Na na kono akoka sem na manafio. Nti yeso yendu baby a ye nipo ekokudru for nipo ka no kre we ye nimasem ye de etumusa. We've not gotten there. That is not the culture of Ghanaians. Ghanaians culture is generally conservative and modest. Nti who be a the party for ya dear no and yet no Kawasema, as though Nicolas Akoyade or Canasa. Oh, be not a fan say, or Hinibi Yadia no and Yano Kawasama, yes, Nicolas or Kawasamsa. But doing him, no cruel say, Ghanaians are more interested in Nipo Betty being my day, a mom, than if you are Nipa, say, oh, Yadia or Canada Yade, And the last time I sat on another television, let me catch them say, let can be Ken. When we say let can be Ken, we are not saying, say, Bibi on when Henwa day was a son. And Ken is not
because I'm coming baby bisa be yourself. But be so on ones as simply be on I am an cano. It's not say a one mamreni and money in Tino. I am a sefin. So better to be any panic. So I say, let him be, you know, who he is, and then, you know, express it, whatever he wants to say. When you say, and also a wedding.
When you say, hey, can a candidate when you are going to sell him? Nobody is focusing on what he can do for the state, but people are only focusing on a certain picture they've given him, a certain lifestyle that he is. I'm coming there before you are even, usually, by the time you even tell them what Ken can do, we say, one hour interview, move 45 minutes, you be defending him. But I mean, it's good. That's my job.
Do you see that? So say, no, you know, a dear and cat. Once nipa de owo honoma you do self introspection ka say ade we die me hu yanka nka manye it's because say yes you you define a certain template of who a presidential candidate should be okay.
And who a presidential material should be nti nipa ni bi wo ho so one is never be so one day but you nipa so who say the rolling style can say a trust wa ke be discipline and no my da ba mu I say galamsi asema yake. It has more to do with enforcement. Now, I'm a co-station back and I say, I don't think we can win the fight. I say, oh, the basic enforcement like road safety enforcement, sanitation, procurement laws, engineering enforcement, something which is so lucrative. And the person said, what's what Kasemo? But that is just by the way. The point I'm making is that we are not selling a spotless candidate to Ghanaians.
Okay.
In case Ken. Or for so no, that's not what we are saying. A spotless candidate there, I say Kofa Yesu Christo na Ankasa. No aba the leader of the MPP. But we are saying it's Ken or strengths or also or shortcomings, just like any other human being. Me tiwe, ma sorry I'm ekono. Ebi am so for be hu me be me twebi blue kills na me ya there. So twebi. But be me nim de oye dey oye wo dem. But me dey say ebu na man say e ba nyame hu kitahudi. And then Yamia Samka on the day or Nim Ayo, not Becca Wasma actually. If you look at the candidates contesting and the other candidates, I don't know where Ghanaians had this whole template of he is humble. What has humility got to do with being a president? We are not saying conform we are humble to being a president too, but we are almost now building a system. All you need to do is pretend that you are humble. And automatically you become where your brain wants to.
So you see it as a pretense.
I mean, the point I'm saying is that if you're also not very careful, you may get weak people who may be then branded as humble. What I say?
Yes, be no so want say nipa na humble now means that we're very accommodating.
Now also the case nipa so firm the person cannot be accommodating. But if I was made to land that, the point I was making is or strengths or shortcomings.
Okay.
If you look at some of the other candidates, they also have strengths and they also have shortcomings. One of them whose name I remember the Betujano. Yes, you're humble. I've also seen people criticize him say, "Oh, you're a weak candidate."
Wait, why?
Okay. Oh, Mr. Candidate, maybe. Oh, yeah, I'm not.
I'm watch this. I want to mean
every case, I'm okay. Told that Mr. Panic couldn't have been before set us by Nansafum. Yes, you share there. We also take feedback from you. Anything I came with the generator, and I won't say there has been any outburst. And also, the most more kind of say,
and no, so no, I've been coming per se, me about the honor of Nabanity. Because say, and you're not, was a Brawase, Nayamfa, and to me, Sana or Yana, because it was guys from January till date and say, Nanwasamo, no, knowing very well who. Honorable Kennedy Agyapong.
There is a pending question. Let me answer the pending question. Let me read that to us.
Because of that, in Tina, I must say, no, what brain was
okay. So, like I said, we are not selling a spotless candidate, but there can I say, there are a lot of character tracer, say a heavy character tracer, obetima boy as on mine than anything. Because our rich ideas and yes, we will a dream poor, we sweep a sober some. One, if you don't win power, rich ideas in academy, I become passive. Until you be your could do for. Obia, easy in 72 hours will be declare election. Now within 24 hours, was one of them. There be no Johnny MPC near the. That's not how Ken will do. If he have more you could do for 2020 to bet him in this for a CNE. here will be so a Ghana for a genie tomb so cow or yo, or Mujidi when you move, or Casso baby and you more baby, and Pano Makoto Banade, Amano. Now to your substantive question, yeah, Obizai. You see, Ken has not changed. Ken is still Ken. But you are also dealing with human beings. Over so many pa. And at some point, there also have to be a balance. So one must say no more pa. Also you have to also meet them halfway. And be a same being in a cano. So they will say kind and caneno. So never catch us away Jimmy. This time one can say be away Jimmy. Can say oh, unyansa day or form. And it has more to do with style, but in terms of the character traits, in
the same original.
Oh, no, he's Ken. He is Ken. And that's what I said. The end. I said, you see, Ken is loved by two things. One, no credit oka, and another kukudru. What I say, in this end, if Ken is going to change that Ken, so Eko Fang Walabo or Mobono, oh Ken, no, that's not Ken. He is still the Ken that we know. Just say the Momusi Kano, any pan or some. You see, when you're him for Kasa. Near 2 for a beer, especially not bent a power, a power star, and a power. So, yeah, my muhana, a beer, Casanibo, about phone cacra. That is also the hallmark and a trademark of also a listening leader. The next change now by your who say, can, any pan about some more. Now, come I be enough when you're to me now.
What's so doing to me? Was I cannot do
no, not being your combat in a different style.
In a different style. Okay, into what modernizing. In a way,
me just say what he's taking feedback from Ghanaians. Say Ghana for no so.
Okay, the Ghana for be canon na would see.
The Ghana for be canon.
Okay, into campaign no theme be na edaso.
Oh, Ken dey e dey back up no be ma party no in Ghana for. But continue ma. Ken would you say our restaurant ko eda agriculture and the socio-economic transformation. And the oba also the agriculture be create jobs. Maybe the northern part of Ghana. In full, and Sassia, you also want Sassia. And Sassia walk the northern part of Ghana. Or they be queer at the feed Ghana. No, they be feed Burkina. No, they be so feed one other Tugana, one other year or border. Yes. But the point is that we be in Miane for exports. No, they be so a feed Ghana. One other thing agriculture may exploit, for instance, a BBFN ethanol, and science alcohol, yeah, no me. Also, your Ghana near or company or Ghana Casabroko or crap ethanol alcohol be $2 billion every year.
Wow.
Bakufu, it shall cash $2 billion. Way acquire me for any and say we achieve $2 billion. So imagine, say, as a country. We identify 10 cassava or 20 cassava in the African continent alone. Near cassava. Cassava no kwa uye tano ni free ma. Cassava na kwa timi obe 29 end products. Say what's a year who ejuma. What the say tano no kwa near 10 to 20 people. Near supply will be at $2 billion, $2 billion or $40 billion. Sika be ni enya. Enyuma be ni nkiti wo maimu. So adia ba kwa ken di be ejuma pa eye efuyo kuyayo. Who's there? During the first industrial evolution, second industrial evolution, third industrial evolution, fourth industrial evolution, Africa near or just at the consumption end. To Ghana, first industrial evolution on we steam engines at the power production. Second industrial evolution, electricity at the power production. Third industrial evolution, computers by. So say artificial intelligence no money ade. Then we just at the consumption end. It is all person your mind now catch it up. We used to be a friend a leapfrog approach. We be free. Now we you cannot miss the first industrial evolution. It started with production. In our baseline, production and industrialization. Tadia came be or body queer your power. Because when I came queer, you know, yet queer, ya fat second, Kwasi Kwarteng, send me another quadrum with Odomia, Okoda, Badasa Sabro, and your Dahusia, me, Jana, na me, a modernized, mechanized farming and casa. One can believe in the Asian miracle model. Say Asian miracle model. Senka, Papa despite in a while. Now, Papa for you, Sapon. You have about, let's say, 100 of them. Non root miracle, 2,000 people each. Now, one more you're interested in farming. Now, if I say farming, you'll be now buying a salmon sassy. Now, one more musica, no more grants and other, then they're able to recruit, let's say, 2,000 or 3,000 people. And if you have 100 people that recruits 1,000, then you increase their capacity to recruit, say, 2,000. Automatically, you've created 200,000 jobs with agriculture. Until a year, one more month, it will be corporations, businesses, mechanized form of farming, and obey. Now,
mechanized there, then they require a lot of machines and so.
Yes, certainly.
Okay.
And now, they ask what the social means, who's an air castle creative certificate and non-certificate jobs.
And the Ghanaian points, the Kennedy Agyapong promises job for certificate and non-certificate holders.
Yeah, because Abribia and Yakwani and a party for Nekasa, and some of the beer catch them say, but the movie near catch them say, Mooney certificate intimidated. And so, Obi
Omobuamakana Muwinia, Yenim Senipano, one call law school biada, when you're lawyer, Sa we opportunity and answer we the anka we lawyer ni pan the anka mpushi we sheho any asa no moka onim so one doctor post not to be about onka we lawyer ni is not just 1 year lawyer ni 1 year doctor into no just onya but now no dey ukita certificate ubenya ejuma
the bigger problem is say yen kind of crunch your party for
okay
ye kwa ni aka jo mo say Muba munya juma no muba certificate assembly anya dey anyhow. But you see before we catch on certificate assembly anyhow, you must be then willing to create non-certificate jobs. Okabucha cleaning no money adan obi no the certificate here dey. To say farming as kai. There could be an aspect of farming within the chain, production and even the supply chain and require certification. What I say?
Okay.
Yeah, jobs and require certification. So the person will still be paid a year then sabede ebekona no ba ye kwa na catch am say oh munye djuma maye ba ye musa certificate bia but let's ask ourselves nipa no onko school de nekoye nurse na asa de nekoye de lawyer like oboko kokuku nkofo kwa hospital. So we must be very honest to our people and tell them say we'll create two kinds of jobs for certificate holders and jobs for non-certificate holders, and that's what Ken is coming to do.
Okay.
The 1 year farming and some year they kind. But also yeah, or say, we share maybe to say the religious and faith-based group now. Nipa mo so mpa sorry and so for assemble and on the job the religious institutions, these churches. Okwa churches are Ugugu says here Ghana over 100,000 denominations. What I say? Denominations and we presby we one man churches need be brave close to 100,000 over 100,000 of them. Now oba me kuro domi asante church domi abra ho me free no. Oba ho your presby, your Roman, your Pentecost, your Assemblies of God, your Methodist, your Anglican so be brave. Azumi say domi kwa no. Your sorry makuma kunkwa 15 and a day. What the plus one man churches no 20 churches. Now can say and also obefa awaria sonko nkitahudie sonko between abino and these religious institutions. Even mosques only are in account. Okay. Now one also partner to also do businesses.
As the farming, not
necessarily the farming, but also by your entrepreneur say perhaps because we have a Pentecost. Almost the church already have the basic logistics. Like to say beer and omu offices, they already have the leadership already. Instead of now, I say, maybe cool do say, press before so. Omu so a tongue. I almost say in a month be more than 10,000-15,000. So mu able winner.
Okay.
Because I say if the Presby Church can recruit 10 people, it could even be more. Because one more major machine who find say be ni pa be and 9. Ubenya be 9 on be there, park. Your driver, you almost have a package.
It is an obey investing in already existing businesses. No more.
Every church will own a business. Every faith-based institution will own it, including the mosques. Every faith-based institution will own a business, and that is the collaboration and partnership between the faith-based groups and the government. Because coming when I say faith-based group, more they are say they be more kwasori. Assuming say more kwasori, na sorry be organ be could be all them dominate American. You can't churches no. The already established 1 man in 20.
That's no,
20 people. Domi alone has recruited 400 people.
Okay.
Into job creation.
So this we nya kwenya na de obeye no.
Yes.
Na ye ka we nyina no. Grassroots for no say no musi esomofa. Resonating well with them one saying.
Oh, grassroots for no. One more it would GD okay. Now we had now buy a quarter. Our performance was not good. So in the only name says I can't never buy a bed the other day. Am I?
Some or more can.
Oh yes. Said last election quarter. We had 276 constituencies. A mobile 199 constituencies here. You didn't do. Almost to tier presidential candidate. Osha, there were 7 regions where a presidential candidate when we need one constituency cry. Yeah, nipa close to 400,000, more than 345,000. To my parliamentary candidates, to tier a presidential candidate. And imagine say 345,000 plus a bar post to tier to my parliamentary, to tier presidential. How many more on person Baba to claim presidential and the party in the pieces or Mameto? There could be many more.
But some analysis here will make it. Obaka say. Because of the presidential candidates, a majority of the MPs, and so Lucy Omusitana.
Oh, I mean that one. And I make say, the data does not lie. The analysis may be subjective or different, but if people walk to the polls, they move 345,000 plus. A buy. One more to my own in the history of Ghana since 92. I be heard the nominal value, sir. Presidential candidates no votes and also Senate. Parliamentary no combine. But for the first time in their history, parliamentary no mum ever square day, Ecuador so presidential. Dinko for quatoma ye parliamentary no movie no to tia presidential. And the Osha, then people will tell you, say, people even preferred our presidential candidates to our parliamentary candidate to our presidential candidate. But that is not the point. The point I am making is, with our performance in the last election, we were about 9 regions or her. Cumulatively, we are looking at 98 parliamentary seats. Some people are 5 and then this one 93. There are 4 regions where you need 1 parliamentary rep. A day in the field, so I bet to see by Yarahuma, Ama by Yaramaka. A day and Kwan MPP, a year.
Now, when Jane did say for the past 8 years, no, a mamono so a kahona, a binum. Every change of government be a memo kahon and a change government, but we've never witnessed this defeat ever in our history, with about 2.1 million people refusing to come and vote, about 1.7 million people voting against 1.7 million vote difference. And he also says that people were not ready for a presidential candidate. But Medika Kusi say, Benfoka say, in so a chair to my day, a presidential candidate, because normally we will on the year. But we say, we are penny na assemble there, where they are, you want to be your home frame. I said, $1 yasama again, NDC 5-1-4. Oba ene kuya, se COVID, send your COVID, 4 to 7, you can't mount for any day, any. In such a case, and a war would done no economic management team. They will punish you for that. Okay.
DDP. You know, want to be a way, she say, but where they are, so far as an eye advice, no, won't mean you when they in film.
And yes, I said, so what's your analysis in the idea? What the someone bony baby Sebia on Nunti and Asebia Ghana for a woman penna, not a buffo mum na show woman. No,
but the buffo, how do you separate the candidate from the party's unfortunate woes? For instance, some because a NAPCO bear 2 years and in okay, over 100,000 people in okay. How do you then say at the paper be your party in the mono? Now vice president can home, but the end and the non can home. As you Ghana card, as one mobile money interoperability, as one if you now no more pot or the tamping and where be when you gate okay, something gate so on and the other at the papa there. It will be so nice, say, and fancy. Maybe at a chia and trade, people cannot hold them liable for it. We are not saying that a buy no where he day and count, a buy no where he count, but any not so crowds winting a better say, that's a buy no where he lay the same buy the buy you. And after 4 years of monk, I say, same a buy now. If the logic is say, a buy no where he intended and go for at the yaw trade, then it is better to bring Obia. Now, Memphis is who will do any key position or the abemu. And so ni eboa and way mo. And when the phone ebu almost say in so cry no a chair to my day, a specialization 30 years going. But when the phone a car, almost in so cry chair to my day, and after 16 years, nipa no bi anya kwanya asom party no you say why the obey bia what the party for ase what the Ghana for ase no obi so ayedai abeto aso so yesi bedi akoni din fata na fata na akono nyankwankwa nwa ase na ukona afei uko leshe na I mean the worst defeat ever the book of also second chance be wo hwe abako semu a Professor Dubois henya 1.2 million one Rollins mewa eso kwa ya mfana nkobio na akofo ba ya de ko 2.8 million na MPP no ono mo a second chance e mo makonya ko bia ya obi a okwa watime a kire se ye vote enya in na previous election no ono etimi di be ye de be ka ho Professor Dubois he bre kwa one kofo one Rollins ko ya sabre 92 no ono transition aba from military era aba constitutional rule asabre momo no mo ho 92 omani afia no mo ye omo se abakora etu ne tubu pig ballot boxes ibu e de jude bag be fa se ni amo mo na soja fa be fa enu mpokura no Professor Dubois he elus 1.1 million votes difference and akofo so buy kofo de call 2.8 omo so ya to akofo so ya to akofo so de na entwa ya former vice president so but do kofo demonstrated say obetimi di vote ni bia bede abeka ho but the Professor Dubois he dey free 1.2 million at the call 2.8 so he haku for the first time also be fa for 2.8 no e call 4.5 kofo kre free office no in 2024 election kofo call or the 4.5 na if you ho akufo so dey call 4.5 until akufo quite the first time against Professor Mills we win by 100,000 votes difference. He won the first round until say a court tire near here by 0.24 higher day. And akufo de baya no de be 6.7 million de ejawo. Na wo teso ba for
inti net is only be the count. Na as some here can say we are speaking in parables, meaning say former vice president. One on Fabian count on deserve a second chance. To on deserve a second chance.
So here akufo de be 6.7 million the no or the bar 4.16 and if you are so better 33%.
They may say because of that in no on deserve a second chance na.
Maybe me kind article be almost say one Dr. Kurugube also we nyai campaign against Dr. Bawumia say because of Mampusini and I'm saying oh Juana Akasa I mean let's state it for emphasis sake at the country I may say former vice president and try to say mo infa Ken man and say the performance I was demonstrating in the last election wanyade wo hwe MPP abako sema ya track of also because say mpenifo say am for na ede e chenen to so because obon homode ya track of so che say or the kofo de na ede e ko so but here Dr. Bawumia akufo the votes ko de jan nationally what is 33% wo hwe the southern belts are predominated by accounts are more aligned to the MPP also at 31%. If you make us if you are 5 northern regions they be on yard or say how they be who are no free until the crew for tomorrow they say go here also what is 16%. How then do you say send pako eligible for second chance?
Say into what so now on add there so means on add value be to the no into no deserve second chance.
It's not really about deserving but it has more to do say ka said nebe ko biwa performance onyael
ena woma you know the history in the party
yes.
All the candidates in na one list to say we ye say ye di we jan we di bika ho it's na me bisa sa no because so the bika ho then you deserve it say okay ye ma won san to aso
on deserve say ka said ne ko biwa ye beteke be 16 years. Yes, because President Mahama the 8 years na tete akufo 1 million votes difference.
But what time I President Mahama analysis no ka say mo krampo de be boa honorable Ken na mo promote say delegates and to manage say NDC be new candidates. And President Mahama and sign and maybe meaning say because in a nim you know akokwa Ghana for
very smart parents and come ahead with
nenima kokwa wo mo ntini di nti e na mo obi so no so di kan kobi an so nenima kokwa wo mo repeat.
Oh, it's a very valid question and a valid point to make. We can say oh I don't know bia kwa kobi di emfa na nyade enko. But the church on say oh data na. Mo se nipa ne ko data man pa o. Onu de o kan data ho asema. data man. Unfortunately, the data doesn't point so. Say, what the neck could be data now, I walk on a say, what the neck could be taking be 16 years and so on, irrespective of who he's meeting. No matter President Mahama, the last elections and on Akufo-Addo 2016. Akufo-Addo share with 1 million votes difference. 1 million votes difference, they take in 8 years and so on already. Ultimate Teaba. It is a head of Bawumia D, 1.7 million votes difference. If 1 million is equal to 8, 1.7 will be equal to X, and I can then find X. If you find X, X will be giving around 13.6. 13.6 will run 14 years. And from the lesson cycle, 14 and a basic bear after 12 years plus 2 years. And that's only 2 years, the back on 16. In the roughly, we are looking at the next 16 years.
Until more X no year equal to 16 years.
Yes. No, 16 years, no. Because we run it. Oh, because 14 years in trouble. The 16 years, no. 14 years in trouble. The 16 years, no. When the 16 years is all your party now 50 an hour. Now we are 66. Every road is all compensation. Anything that here will be a Ghana for GDP almost more than a buy a bed. Okay. And then we have the could be paid because you're not called but a chair said he was not marketable. Who said, hey. Oh, yes. Who said there is a difference between visibility and marketability. It could be visible in Sui, but visibility not necessarily marketability. When visibility say, who didn't Sui be seen presence is here. But marketability just say, you can't want any pie at because your GD was specialized. And the specialized is both marketable and visible. But you could get in so only visible, but not marketable.
And so marketable is Bawumia where they
visible.
But on your day.
No, I will say what Kennedy is. Kennedy is both marketable and visible. But not Bawumia is visible.
Bawumia marketable.
I say Kennedy is both marketable and visible.
Okay, my share more a past campaign and now 2024 and Sabri. Say me fancy 2023 campaign at that time no pay honorable Keno pese or ye Flagbearer na any the way a campaign is equal difference wo mu ana o manfo oboje mo so more accept say or honorable Ken no mo pe chain afie and past in a campaign ana.
I think that with just the introduction of Dr. Brighton, the dynamics has changed a bit.
Oh, okay. Hey.
Also making rules well.
I see.
And me and my former boss, Dr. Duchum, so it looks like Dr. Brighton is rather pulling higher.
Okay.
And also chief free Dr. Bawumia voice in pa.
And you're not booking the
oh, any about chief, but what you be about there were not Dr. Bawumia there.
I didn't, yeah.
Oh, send all Dr. Bawumia camp.
Okay.
Hold on, no, Dr. Duchum, also no more the camp. And if they are also contested, or say for no, and then the now follow ni more for mama. So it's also changed the dynamics a bit. But the duty and they say any party for the bed ever hokasa. Any form for the hokasa. A book kwanso hombra se kwanso kasa de kwanso. Ni achi omo se Nyankopon pa na ken ba enim se be enim se on benya adwuma ye de aye. And most importantly, ideas are Kenya. And say can be magic to me. Na said Dr. Bawumia, said Dr. Brighton, Dr. Duchum, engineers or ideas, but now I'm sure the TV so my ideas. I can say, I'm saying we need ideas in the MMO. He'll be with me. Was he? Lawyer, on head about all kind of ideas. Can say, and so we need ideas. I don't know we need ideas. MMO. He'll be with you. What is now winning ideas in send near my family agriculture near the engineer there who be engineering you someone can say and somebody there who him there and they doable but the point is if we don't win all these ideas will not be feasible Rebecca them Rebecca say it will become obsolete and dust a big so I feel that it was embassy so you need the power first before the you see second, if it is about one more define presidential candidate, no person would define in my end, and the Ken would have probably been the last. because Ghana a presidential candidate. You see, obi or botai. You see, obi or shada no so humble. They are oh.
So that's obi or shada, obi or humble, and that's obi or shada.
Said the mohun or public. Said the mohun or public na humble. Now him the fearsome.
Into no the omo can say or humble. No him the fearsome.
What the my fancy? Why here be very much? Maybe I don't know.
To us, some common ayebo. Of course, we a politician.
No, but I'm saying,
maybe you're a politician, and we are party. No, probably unim.
Oh, not per se, but I'm saying, say, yeah, my mohano. People also construe. My more example. Say, even John Mahama is also seen as humble, right?
President
Mahama. Oh, I mean, President Mahama. The interim card John Mahama. No more. My brother, we ask a Pamuni title. Mama, one example, Jesus Christ, Muhammad, Trump,
but for the
Obama.
purpose of education,
yes, he's a president. But mom, not out of disrespect, but out of what Bob Brother drew. We ask here, Moses or by only Dr. Moses. Maybe be go for the title come and I'm saying, yes, I'll have my brother. Kofoka kwame despite even though if she and be a daughter despite but maybe a word drew it didn't go ahead so for instance when you compare President Mahama's humility and our candidates Dr. Bawumia's humility here you are there. President Mahama in 2020 on the President who for the coalition now Olusu with about 500,000 votes difference Olusu you know also Olusu I'm a press conference. I said, "Do get some more comfortable lead." Ujina na swa my electoral commission we need kura or the assembly day. A court so no any we lose. And my court unanimously omu tutiano. But at the end of the day, we be free mubamano. But me every the parliamentary seats na ni lead no. Any beche 137. And the can quite the catch so 148 seats. But ultimately 137, you know. And then ma on muja egu yechema ye levy ade e pass bia no ma ye hu deda say you say dey no ma dan no emfa no to afi yeso ye ma Dr. Bawumia so time ye to aba no isi suma the same 72-hour window me show the humility aspect that you are talking about say one here even though nkofobeka so ye one here nkofobeka so ye him humble no na nye humble per se but na ye e bia mreyo
okay the weakness.
Yes, but me another example. The same election as you could be. In a space of 72 hours, easy at the Mayan. Yes, a candidate, you know, less than 24 hours on also quite you two lose election. I feel MPC no more form with coalition centers. Now, NDC for Yaku could draw no more call, no more sheho, no more yeday. I feel you sit, you know, a tebaya, a ba from 137 to, see, I'm not going to say 87.
And they said, was concede. Too early ntina ni nyina ka wona ma Lucy seat ne bi no na
na seat no I think one conceding temwa
enka mo benya more
we won't find ourselves in the state that we were maybe it is a Ablokumanov ya e chiro mo chenchi mensa say it was even declared then but the chiri almost a year ma ye ho che Charles Force or Tema Central omoje it took him ekopel no private security and ne omo face but busa ho say any pahin no more private security or more that capacity any NDC for the first one omotimi eba
so because say the way an attention no is it in the way no ojitu muntem no so no e kame enkofo be oh Ghana for do na kai say
tension be 2024 kwan da yeto about Ghana
we say oh a ban in terms na ema obi abo to ne yem
no but I'm asking say no but contrary to what people may say no the evidence doesn't support that the evidence is that with that concession no can embolden the NDC for and coalition center say kwaya basabasa nti basabasa ya sama ndi pa eka no where is it that logic is not tenable
say no nyina out of humility or
but oh because oh humble. But Ken na almost one humble, he will never do that. Say he's a 72 hours, no koja to enjuma. No. In 2028. Enjuma. Yeah, twaba ne kai na Ken na koja to enjuma.
Could there be say a banesa no so almost more coalition centers bibini amos muji feeding it
so say Ken lose on your no kwa no. Ken lose obedwen parliamentary candidates no so as okoji tu ntema one here na ndisi for alcohol
Basa Ghana for nyina so no edo so chain parliamentary candidates.
No, but at the end of the day, Ghana for say within that time of the process, everybody also want that representation to also govern the same country.
No, the American said they be basabasa yinsi.
Oh, but Messi at about 1992.
From that
Messi at about 1992 have seen and I've been basabasa is here. And if it is a logic is basabasa, no ye a bra such a little concession could even embolden other people to go and act differently. And that's why we witness. And to go focus about basabasaya mentasi. Sometimes you know book or be a book election you don't per se or any person who in papa or a humble. But I'm saying say any NDC for call. Now you see make election results. There's no way second Bawumia to know. He won't do that. Uncle my MPs won't no, he won't do that. Basabasa bien. You see, there is a difference between protecting your rights under the Constitution and basabasayo. The Constitution enjoins us to protect your votes. The Constitution, the 1992 Constitution, and joining a share can say and protect the sanctity and integrity of our electoral process.
That time the candidates in one Jenny ne MPs and so on.
Mame can say make us a can the one yes.
Oh, now then they say will be said there be a sebi chat one.
Oh, so only
and on yana santi diana or no ye
oh so make us say or no dear sebio it be a briefing on yae and then na adwin ordering and the man make his decision.
So now wrong now.
I don't want to judge him. I don't have it's beyond my pay scale to judge him. But I will tell you what Ken will not do. Ken will not do that.
Okay. You share in a post I am minister will
be brave.
A boom huana.
Oh, say be na favor. Nti ade favor dey
na say dey in favor mo no so e.
Oh, dey you see whether say
this one ba in favor mo.
Oh, what?
Enu nti na me be.
Dey in favor ye kra no. Me if favor ye in a larger extent to Marikundia. Dey in favor ye kra. Musa dan kwa dey in favor ye. Our my 17% throughout so. They also tell say why not twice every month bia no. Or take a main opponent there so 5%. And if that trajectory is to go on I can't 4 months. Or so 5, 20%. Or 27. And I will be 27. But when you couldn't. Until I'm safe if I am.
Okay.
And now you can make 64%.
Was it 62?
To 64%.
To 64%. And Nyame adoma 31st January 2026.
Prophet Kwasi Kwarteng.
Kwasi Kwarteng. So you better say lawyer.